Hi. I had something interesting happen a little earlier that I wanted to share about, especially since it's like really subtle. Like for me, I'm really pretty good at the overt, like contempt, like the kicking of my car to make a dent. I'm really actually pretty good with that kind of thing. But for me, the places where I get like a little fucked up and can't quite feel myself and I'm just like there starts to become like a some sort of discussion between my head and my body, and I don't quite know who to side with, and then I'm sort of out and I don't quite know what to do. What happens usually when that what happens to affect that is when someone subtly devalues uh, or is in a way where it's not obvious. I can't like point at the smoking gun, but I can feel my body has a full on response to it. But my brain goes, but there's nothing I can really point to that's on paper. It looks fine. Or like how they're behaving, like they're smiling, but like somehow you feel like you're being like stabbed or devalued, or there's just something that's going on in the body. Normally I trust that feeling, especially if it's someone that I don't really know very well. I trust my body all the time over my head telling me otherwise. But when it's something that's like a friend or someone that I've known for a long time, and there's something that's happening, I can get a little bit fucked up. And so what I typically do in those moments is I genuinely like have a conversation with myself, and I trust there's an airplane going on over above. I trust my body, and I listen to my body, and I write out what my body knows to be the truth, even if on paper it's not the case. And so I was doing that when I saw this like email communication where I was like, what is happening? And I was sort of like, I'm pretty certain that this is the thing that's happening. And I started to go there and sort of like get right. And then I asked Ken, my husband, who's, I value his opinion, I value his insight, and so and so. And mind you, I had 30 seconds before my next call. 30 seconds. And I was like, what do you think? I want to get your insight. What do you feel about this particular communication? And I'm 30, he doesn't know any of the background really. And he said, oh, it feels like it's pretty clean. And he left, and I didn't even catch it. But in that moment I went, and just sort of on a certain level left the building. Like suddenly my body was abandoned, and I was just like, my brain, I like couldn't figure it out. Anyway, I had calls. I did my calls. I was able to stay sort of present enough to do my calls. And then afterwards, I talked to him and I went, I don't know why I'm feeling fucked up. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Didn't catch that was the moment that I got fucked up. We talked about it and we pieced it back. And at one point I went, well, what did you mean by like clean? I think we somehow like figured out that thing. And he told me his more nuanced interpretation, or like his feeling about it. And it brought me a little bit more in my body. And in that moment, what I realized was that I had taken his interpretation of what was going on over my bodies. And it like I didn't even know that there was like this way in which I was putting his opinion, his thought, his everything a little over mine. So we talked about that. And then also I had a conversation with him where I said, listen, that was like, let me own the fact that like I gave you all of 30 seconds and there was not a lot of feedback, or like not a lot of like setup about any of the stuff. So you were just saying something, in the dark. But also in the moment when I am out and I'm trying to figure out my reality, I'm going to tell you a way for you to like support me. And then he was like, I said, are you interested in that? And he was like, yeah, I'm interested in that. And then I told him the ways in which it's like best to support me inside of that moment when I'm like, oh, I've left the building. And then he was like, that's really great to know. Why is all of that important, and why does it even matter? I will tell you why. There's so much rightness that I need and that I need to have all of those conversations. And what I mean by rightness is in the moment where I was like, am I making stuff up? Am I even feeling like, what is happening? What was going on was, do I even have the right to feel this? Am I making this up? Is what I'm feeling right? Is what's happening internally like the right thing? Right. Or is it wrong? In that moment when I feel that way, I split. Like suddenly I'm in a war between my head and my body, my rational mind and my intuitive feeling body, and that's where I am in trouble. So many of us walk around for days, weeks, lifetimes, I don't even know how long, doing that. And it is a certain version of hell to be inside of that experience. When I say rightness, I mean everything's in alignment. My brain and my body and my intuitive mind, we're all like in a happy marriage together and we're in partnership. In that moment, I was like, do I have the right? Do I know? Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know if I'm right. Am I? So I started to go into that spiral. Had a conversation with Ken, who I like respect deeply, right? And in that moment, even though I was starting to go off, I had enough rightness, meaning that I felt like I could trust myself enough, know myself enough. There's enough solidity in here that I could speak up and say, hey, when you said this thing, like, first, I didn't set you up, and second, like, there was a way in which you said it that it sort of felt dismissive of this thing that I was feeling, and I know that that's not what you were meaning or your intention. What was going on over there with you? And so we had that conversation, and we got to nuance and parcel out, like, oh, yeah, actually, this is what I was really thinking when I saw that communication. And it was much more aligned with what my body was feeling. There was so much rightness, integrity, self-acceptance, trust inside of my own knowing that I needed to have every single one of those conversations and moments, and to walk out being like, all right, I'm back to like being aligned. Going back to the subtle crazy making. If I'm not catching the larger things, and if I'm not in real relationship to myself in a way that works, and what I mean by works, that's in genuine partnership. If the marriage in here isn't like one where there's peace and love and respect and listening and care, and like I trust you and I have your back, and what you have to say I want to listen, and what you have to say I want to listen, if all of that is not actually in alignment and working, when all of the mixed messages and the fucked up communications and the people doing the things and yada yada and the triggers and happen, I'm so at war over here that what happens out there is just like, instead of me keeping my cool and being able to respond, I am triggered. I'm all over the place. I'm fucked up. I'm out of my body. I'm like in hell. And so I can't even be genuinely empowered and powerful inside of even subtle, I don't even catch them if I'm not in alignment. The subtle communication. And my reason for even saying any of this, my purpose for actually like speaking up about this, is that my goal, my genuine goal, especially when it comes to women, because with women, like this is a thing that can be translated to men and women, but especially for women, because we're constantly told to like not listen to our own instinct and our own inner voice and our own knowing, especially for women. Ugh. My big passion, my huge passion, is to be, like if there was some magic wand that I had, is to literally endow every single woman with like a deep knowing and a deep trust within themselves, that they are trustworthy. I talk to women all the time, but I was talking to someone earlier that it's like when there's a rage on the inside, because we've been swallowing something for so long and shoving ourselves down, when there's a rage on the inside and it comes out sideways, trust that. On a certain level, make that right. If there is, I speak to people who are like, well, I don't know why I feel so like pulled to this one person, and I feel like I have to go to this one person, and it's like I've tried for years and years and years and I can't. There is a nourishment, there is a need. The need and the nourishment and the pull is something to trust. And when this and this are not in war with one another, then we can actually hear the thing that wants to come out. And then we can actually have it align correctly. And we could behave in a way that actually gets us the thing, not have us go sideways and desperate and stealing from the back of the van when they're trying to give it at the front. Does that make sense? The subtle devaluing and crazy making gets lessened the more in alignment this is. So the conversation is not masculine, feminine, this, that, right, wrong. It's this and this. That's the marriage to work on. That's the relationship to work on. And so that's the thing I wanted to talk about. Because literally today, and like I am like inside of this conversation all the time. And there are times during the day where I'm like, what was that? And suddenly like the relationship in here goes off. And then it's my responsibility in all the different ways that I know how to, and all the different hacks and all the different like conversations and so to like, how do I bring myself back? All right, I'm back. Okay, now we're going forward. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I wanted to like, if there's anybody out there who like, what the hell is happening over here? And what the hell is happening? And then we're like just out of our bodies, a way to come back in. All right, thanks. Hope you're having a great day.